Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. It's Cocktail Hour's 117th episode. I'm Andy.
Oh my God, I forgot to look. I'm Sherry.
Okay. And who are you?
Colette Moody.
The scary
Yay.
Santa. Hold on, I'm going to put that back up.
That's right. She's got scary Santa. I love that.
Yeah,
It
just
seemed
the eye.
It's like a damn black eye.
Yeah, it seemed appropriate.
Yeah. That kid is awesome.
That's awesome. Woo! So everybody done shopping?
Yes.
Yeah. Good, good. Now, you guys hosting the holiday festivities this year?
We're changing things up a little bit. We're not going to my parents' house for Christmas Eve this year. So we're going to have just some sandwiches or something in the early afternoon. And then we're going to binge watch movies until midnight and then open up a gift and go to bed.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that sounds a lot of fun. How about you, Colin?
Probably, I don't know what we were going to do for Christmas Eve. We talked about doing something. I'm so old now. What are we doing for Christmas Eve?
We're going to smoke a chicken.
Oh, yeah, we're going to smoke a chicken.
How do you
You know,
like through a bong, or what are you talking
no, like in a smoker. Yeah, no, I got a smoker, and I've used it once on because I happened to be in this fancy schmancy butcher shop, and they were like, "Oh, these are country blah 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 free range chickens," and I was like, "Well, that sounds awesome." But yeah, so what that means is that they're gangly and sinewy and don't have a lot of meat on them. They're all like tiny little bones.
Oh my God! That's
Tiny
hilarious.
bones covered with rubber bands.
Oh.
Now it tasted smoky, which was nice, but yeah. So I think I'm gonna have to suck it up and try it with one of those genetically modified birds with the giant breasts, because that shit is delicious.
Exactly.
We're big on the smoking of things at our house too. For Thanksgiving, we smoked a turkey breast. It was pretty good.
I bet it was.
It was. It was very good.
So,
What about you, Andy?
Oh,
I'm
I'm
sorry, Colette. Are you going to do something else besides smoke a bird?
well, that was Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day we'll open presents, and then we'll go over to my mom's house and open presents there, and I'm gonna make BLT pasta.
Oh, that sounds good.
Wait, what? BLT. We'll talk offline. I want that recipe.
It's
Pasta.
amazing.
Oh God. Yes, we'll have to talk offline with that one.
Okay.
I don't do anything on Christmas Eve. Generally, Christmas Day, everybody's coming over here, so I don't have to go anywhere. But I'm making some things, but everybody that's coming over is bringing something, so that's nice. I don't have to do the whole thing by myself, and so it'll be nice.
Nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
we all drink. We start drinking about 9 a.m, and then that way, we have pretty much everything that could, burn the house down. We have it usually done by the time we're all snockered. So we eat about noonish, and then we drink some more until we pass out. That's usually what Christmas is like here.
See, that's a sign of like healthy family get together, right? Because like I feel like maybe with extended family. So if my family and extended family got together and we started drinking at 9 a.m, the cops would be there by like 3. Right? Because shit would just get a little too real.
It does.
And it's like, you know what I've been meaning to tell you?
Yeah.
And I don't like your fucking face. That's when that stuff starts happening. And then nobody ever wants to come over ever again.
There's nothing wrong with that either. I'm okay with it.
God bless us, everyone.
Now get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, and speaking of drinking, what's everybody drinking today?
Okay, I'll go first. I have a large glass of wine because I forgot that today was our holiday show. I don't know why I forgot that, but it's so I forgot, and I wasn't going to leave the house because there's massive amounts of snow outside, and so I just pretend it's mold.
Well, you could have put a bow on it, made it a little more festive.
I could
Just
have. I suck at this.
A ribbon around the stem, something.
Yeah, or just
Wow.
throw a cranberry in there.
Here, I'll put my dirty tissue by there, and that way it's.
You know what? With Rev's luck, it would have been she would have put like a chunk of that cranberry sauce, the jelly kind.
Ugh.
Oh.
Listen, we grew up on it. I got to taste
The
what I know.
stuff that comes out in the shape of the can.
That's
I like
the
that.
one.
I make my own cranberries. I make my cranberries from scratch every year. But I'm just trying to imagine like that clump of red in the
I think
bottom.
it would be awesome.
It would look like somebody's
Like a chunk of skin in there and it's bleeding.
No, I was thinking more along the lines of ovulation, but I mean that's fine too.
Nice.
What are you drinking, Colette?
I have mulled wine,
Nice.
which I mulled myself.
Nice. Even
Wait,
better.
what did you mull it with?
So I bought this stuff online from Britain. It's basically like a big jug of liquid mulling stuff. And so you mix it with a bottle of fruity red wine and some sweetener. So I did Splenda because I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to throw a bunch of sugar in this. And initially I tasted it while it was heating up and I was like, oh, this is awful. I hate this. But once it heated up, it's actually quite good. And I just put the remainder in my mug, and it's still all nice and toasty.
Nice. I wonder if what is that other sweetener? Not Splenda.
Stevia?
Stevia. I wonder if stevia would work in that too.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
Huh.
The only thing that I need to be, I mean, because I have both in my house, but the only thing I need to be concerned about is, I spoil my dog and I usually let him lick my plate. And anytime I have anything with stevia in it, he can't have it because it has erythritol, which is poisonous to dogs.
Don't
I
kill
had no
your
idea.
dog.
I had no idea.
So if you cook with it, he can't have any of it. If I put it on anything, he can't have any of it. So
All right. See, you learned something new today.
It's an educational show.
I love that. I'm having a little champagne in a pilfered champagne glass.
That's a.
does that make it sweeter?
It
Knowing
is.
that it's
really
stolen?
sweet.
Where'd you steal the glass from?
O&X.
Oh, oh, we're not going to talk about that. Hold on, but I'm going to do my impression.
What was that?
That's my impression of what you would
You
look
froze
like.
up. Do it again. Do it again.
Oh, hold on. Mm.
Yeah, that one.
That's also
So-
what I look like after I got kicked out of the poker game today.
Yeah, that was fun though. That was really fun.
Yeah.
And I got sidelined a couple of times myself. That Adrienne is a card sharp. Don't think she is.
That's true. So for folks who don't know, we were playing, there's a Texas Hold'em, a free-to-play Texas Hold'em game. You can play it on Xbox or PS4, or you can get it for your PC through Steam. It's called Prominence Poker, and it was a lot of fun. So Andy and I played with our friend Adrienne today, and it was a lot of fun. I look forward to
Lost
playing
my
again.
shorts.
What?
I lost my shorts, man.
At least you didn't lose your fanny pack.
Oh God. Oh no.
So-
That's not bad.
Yeah. So if anybody plays, please let us know. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Absolutely. So back to our actual reason why we gather. And I don't know when did this start? We started doing Murder and Mayhem. It was like a few years ago, wasn't
It
it?
was The Alienist. I think it was 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So ever since we started, a tradition now. So, we don't do warm, fuzzy, Christmassy reading book shit. We find something that's pretty bloody and pretty scary, sort of. Bloody for sure, that we can actually read and talk about. And this year, we picked In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, which is actual nonfiction. And I have been wanting to read this for years, but I never have. So it was actually, I'm really glad that we picked this one. I really am. But you guys have read it before, though, hadn't you?
No, I hadn't. Mm-mm.
Oh.
No, I was in this. I wanted to, but I never really took the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, you say nonfiction, but it's like nonfiction fiction.
He was the first author, pretty much, that paved the way for folks like Anne Rule to do their magic. I mean, he took a nonfiction and wrote it so that it read more like fiction. But it's, right. I think it's still considered nonfiction, isn't it?
I think it's, I don't know where it is in bookstores, but it's I want to say that they refer to it as a nonfiction novel.
Really? Interesting.
I'm going to pull up Audible while we're talking.
Yeah, it's like he somehow, with this book, came up with a whole new genre that had never existed before.
I could see that. I mean, it really is. It felt like a novelization of a crime story, you know? I mean, the way that he, well, maybe we should talk about what the book is about first.
Okay.
We can do that.
Do you want to read the blurb, Andy, since you have it pulled up on Audible?
Oh, assuming I'm typing that fast. Hold on.
Sorry.
Awesome. There we go. Let's see. It's a story that most people know, told here in an unforgettable way, an audio master. Oh, this is the masterpiece part. The audio part. Audio masterpiece that rivals the best thrillers, thanks to Capote, genre-defining words and Brick's subtle but powerful characterizations. On November 15th, 1959, in the small town of Holcomb, Kansas, 4 members of the Clutter family were savagely murdered by a blast from a shotgun held a few inches from their faces. There was no apparent motive for the crime, and there were almost no clues. That's the little capsulization from Audible. So there you go.
Where do they have it classified?
It doesn't say.
All right.
Man.
All right. Well, you two talk. I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
So overall, how did you enjoy the book, Colette?
Well, let me just say that while I find the subject matter interesting, there is something about Truman Capote's writing style that drove me crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had the opposite effect. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I liked it. I really liked it. I mean, I thought the story was interesting. There were some passages that I was just like, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so I kept getting bogged down in that. And I think the reason that it's considered a nonfiction novel is because, like, there's whole passages that take place between members of the family that, I mean, who knows if any of that happened.
I think, well, some of it I think came from the, I mean, there was a lot of that, a lot of dialogue, a lot of interactions between, not just between with the family, but I mean, there are whole scenes of Perry and Dick. Okay,
I don't know how you could forget that name.
So I do, but so there's whole scenes you know, between Perry and Dick and his father, Perry and his dad, and I know that he did. I believe he did extensive interviews with both of them, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can see where there would be, you know, where he would have room for, you know, for setting the scene and doing the dialogue and stuff like that, and it really did, I think. Bring those characters who would, you know, normally very unsympathetic characters to life and make them not just bad guys on a page, but you know, real in-depth characters with depth and real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Did either of you go into watching any of the film adaptations or anything?
I wanted to. I just didn't get. I couldn't find one that I had ready access to. And then today, I just didn't have time to look any further.
Well, so I know that it was a movie that came out in the '60s with Robert Blake as Perry, but what other adaptations are there?
There was in '97. There was a 2-part miniseries that came out. There was the film Infamous, which told how Capote got interested in the story, and then his adventure going down to Kansas and talking to people. Is that
the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
No, that one's called Capote.
Okay, because I saw that one, I think, in the theater when it came out.
I think I saw that too. But I don't really remember anything about it, except I remember some movie that I saw that had Capote going and sitting down and talking with one of the guys. And that was the only thing that I knew. I didn't really know anything about the case. I mean, I'd heard of the book In Cold Blood, but I didn't really know what it was about. And really didn't know much about. I didn't know anything about the case until I read it right now.
Yeah.
Unless from whatever the movie that I don't barely remember.
Yeah, I mean, he spent years down there with those people.
And didn't he develop? For some reason, didn't he have like a thing for one of the guys? Like
yeah.
That's what I thought. See, I must have seen the movie. Was that featured in the movie Capote?
It was.
Okay, then that's what I saw. Then I saw that movie, and I only remember that one snippet.
It's like a 2-hour movie. You remember that one snippet.
And he's down there with Harper Lee. I mean, his friend Harper Lee.
Yep.
Who would go on to write To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yep.
And I guess they became estranged after that.
Yeah, they did. And I think I remember, was it Infamous? Or it might have been Capote, one of the two. I think it was suggested that one of the reasons why they became estranged is there's 2 reasons, I think. One is because Harper won a Pulitzer before he did. And the second was because as he got consumed by the case, he kind of removed himself from his friends. He became way more self-centered. And then he couldn't basically write after that. I think that was his last book.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I think that he came on the scene as an author of short stories. And, so that was the era where you could have a short story published in a book like book or Women's Journal, and that was a BFD, right?
It was, yeah.
So I think he came on the scene with those kinds of short stories. He published a book of short stories, and then I think In Cold Blood was one of the few, if not the only, full-length novel that he did. It was a huge success, a massive bestseller. It spawned that very popular movie within a couple years of its release, and he just became this massive celebrity. And I don't think that he ever... I mean, that was pretty much the pinnacle of his success.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, though?
Which was a short story.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't know.
But he was also on the set of the film because he was helping with the screenplay. So, yeah.
Well, maybe he could have mentioned that Mickey Rooney was not Asian.
Oh, is that the movie where he does that horrible?
Yes.
Oh.
Wait, what happened? Wait.
Oh, it's just like one of the most heinous episodes of Yellowface ever, where they dress Mickey Rooney up and they give him like the thick eyeglasses and the huge front teeth, and they just have him run around and pretend that he's Asian, and it's awful. He's like the upstairs neighbor.
I haven't seen that movie in probably 4 decades.
There was something out not that long ago. It was talking about whitewashing in Hollywood, and that was one of the clips that was shown when they were talking about some notorious scenes.
Oh.
That's why I think that's why it's so fresh in my head. And also, I'd never seen the movie, so it has.
Well,
to be.
and I mean, at the time, that was super commonplace because, I mean, Marlon Brando did it.
Yep.
He played an Asian.
The whole Charlie Chan series.
Peter Sellers did it.
Yeah. The guy that played Charlie Chan was not Asian. His son was, but he was not.
Well, and even the chick who won the Oscar for The Good Earth in, like, I don't know, 18-aught whatever. Like, that is an old damn movie, like 30-something, right? Louise Rayner, is that her name?
I don't know.
Completely not Asian. Katharine Hepburn played an Asian.
They just had one of the examples that they had given was a movie that's just come out not that long ago. I think it's called Aloha, and they used a white woman,
Emma Stone.
And she's got blonde hair.
Yeah, Emma Stone plays a native Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that
really?
sounds legit.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see that movie that came out in the 70s, Murder by Death?
Yeah, I have that on DVD.
Me too. I love it.
I love that movie.
Whenever I'm
It's
sick,
hilarious.
flu, cold, not other things, but cold or flu.
Mhm.
That is the movie, the DVD I stick in, and I hit repeat, and it plays all damn day and all damn night, and I just leave it going.
All right, I have to watch it.
Truman
And
Capote
is in that movie.
Is in that movie. And
Yes.
I never realized until that film how irritating that man's voice was. I mean, I've gotten over it since, clearly, but I just remember because I saw this movie in the theater when it first came out, and I'm like, oh, it was like nails across a chalkboard. My God, he drove me nuts. But one of the interesting things about him is they make fun of it in the film that he doesn't have any pinkies. He doesn't, which is really cool.
No, he has.
What?
He just has all his fingers are very long, including his fingers.
His little finger is as long
10
as
digits.
his ring finger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
That's kind of creepy, though.
No, I think it's kind of cool because you can see it in the film too. I mean, like when he has his hands on the desk, you can see it.
Yes, he just had very long pinky fingers.
Very long
But that
fingers.
really was the least of his physical anomalies.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Right.
But I mean, I
Now,
love that film. But that's the film that Peter Sellers played in Asian.
Yes,
Man.
Murder by Death is hilarious. It's Neil Simon, and it's spoofing basically all standard detective style movies. So Charlie Chan is there, and Miss Marple is there, and Nick and Nora Charles are there, and
Guy Columbo, Peter Fox character,
right, is there as Sam Spade.
Sam Spade.
Of course, all their names have been slightly changed. You
Right,
know,
right,
they get called there by Truman Capote. He's the wealthy guy in the mansion, and you're here to solve a murder, and who's going to die? Oh, you know, and they all start dying, kind of a deal. Hilarious.
It is funny.
Alec Guinness plays a blind butler, and Nancy Walker plays a deaf maid.
Oh, I love her.
It's awesome.
And so she shows up from the temp agency. So she is unable to speak, and she has these signs that she's holding up to the blind butler, like, "My name is Yetta. I cannot speak or hear." And he's like, "Are you there? Here, I need you to come over here and cook."
It's
that's awesome.
Yeah,
it is. It really. If you haven't seen it, you really need to see it.
All right, I put it on my list. Okay, so let's get back to back to In Cold Blood.
Yep.
Okay. So
Go ahead.
No, you go. No.
I find the whole situation tragic, and obviously it is tragic. But these jackasses, on the word of a guy in prison, decide that because Mr. Clutter, the patriarch of the family, is somewhat strict, but in other ways he's very generous. And he has it's a farm, right? Isn't it a farm? He has a prosperous business. He treats his employees well, and he demands things from his family. He wants to be an upright citizen. He does he's just a pillar of the community, and I think wasn't the guy that Dick and Perry talked to that jailbird tells him that he thinks I think that he sold it to them that Clutter had a safe in his house.
It seemed like he was really kind of an innocent in the situation. He was with Dick in jail.
Floyd.
And, huh? Yeah. Floyd was in jail with Dick and talking about, how he had worked for this really rich rancher guy. And,
oh, that's right.
And that he and so Dick started asking him a lot of questions. Does he have a safe? Blah blah blah. And Floyd's like, yeah, he's got a safe. I'm pretty sure he's got a safe.
He's got to have. He's got cash. He's got to have a safe.
Right. But meanwhile, we learn that Mr. Clutter doesn't do cash. Everything he does is with a check. So if he's only doing things with checks, that means all his money is in the bank. So Floyd gives, Dick keeps pumping him for information.
I'm glad I wasn't pouring at the time.
So he keeps asking him for information and, directions. And he just tells him, well, when I get out, me and my boy Perry, we're going to go out there and we're going to rob him, and we're not going to leave any witnesses. We're just going to tie him up and we're going to shoot him. We're not going to, no witnesses. So when that actually happens, Floyd is like, oh, oops, I think that might have, I'm pretty sure I know. Oops, I'm really sorry. And the really sad thing is, there are a lot of sad things. This whole book is filled with sad things,
That's true.
And such juxtaposition of things as well, that they can be so cruel and then in some ways compassionate. It was really a very strange mix with these two.
So, when it comes out, and, this story is so old, we're not going to worry about spoilers or anything, but when I really thought that Perry is the sweet, the sweeter, more sensitive, he likes to think of himself as,
an intellectual.
And
musician.
Yeah. So he's like, the soft soul. I really thought that Dick, who's an asshole and always he's ripping people off. He's an egomaniac. He's inconsiderate. He's just like a really sleazy, shitty guy.
Is he kind of like a quasi pedophile?
And he's I don't know how closeted he was.
Sex offender.
And sex offender. Yeah. So he's this really awful, sleazy guy. Just whenever he would have a bit, I would feel dirty, And then when Perry would have his bit, I'd be like, oh, poor Perry. He had it so bad, and I just want to hug him. When it turned out that, I really thought that Dick would have been the one who would have shot all those people and cut, Mr. Clutter's throat and all of that, and then to find out that it was actually Perry who did all of that.
Perry did it. Yeah, that was really surprising.
Yeah,
but then again, Perry kept Dick from raping the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And that was
so he does
at least
things
twice.
He made sure Mr. Clutter was on a mattress box because the cement was cold. So you're like, what the hell? It was just so frustrating to read this story because you feel so terrible for the Clutters that it didn't have to turn out this way,
It didn't. And the beginning of the book, the whole first, the whole big first section of the book, at least the first couple chapters, are all about the Clutters and them as a family, and Nancy and her boyfriend, and her.
See, and those were the parts that I was really getting bogged down in, and this is probably my fault. But, I kept imagining Truman Capote's voice, and then just the level of microscopic detail that he went into with these people. And then she baked a pie, and she had always been burdened by the size of her enormous breasts and blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care. You know, and I know that that gives depth and nuance.
No, but there was a lot of
Characters,
stuff
but
that I didn't care about.
yes, yes. I just felt, you know, and then and I guess part of that, you know, sort of stacked on top of the fact that this is supposedly to some degree nonfiction. I don't know. It just, to me, it just felt weird to have all these imagined conversations and these somewhat imagined details about people who are dead, and to say, oh, everything happened. This is all just as it happened. This conversation between two people who were dead and that I never met with no witnesses.
No, but didn't Truman? I mean, I don't want to defend Truman necessarily, but I mean, he had extensive conversations with close friends of the Clutters, and didn't Nancy have a diary?
Yeah, she had a diary that she wrote in every day. But I think I see what you're saying, Colette. But I think for me, I didn't really think about all that very much. I think I just let it be. You know, these are they're conversations that could have happened. I think
they're realistic based on other
sure, absolutely.
People.
And now I think there's all kinds of books that are written in this style because this book was so popular.
Yeah,
you're right, exactly. And I think that it was probably weird for Capote not only to have a personal relationship with these two killers.
No, there's only one killer. There's only one.
Well, the other guy would have been a killer, I'm sure. Well, he's a rapist.
No, there you go. We'll label him the rapist.
But I mean, he also had to wait to finish his book until they were, you know, hanged.
Executed, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the other weird component of this is that, I mean, I consider this to be, you know, mid 20th century is still very recent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, you know, to know that they were still hanging people in the South, you know, in 19, whatever it was, 61 or 62, whenever
62, I think
whenever these guys, you know, got.
I thought it was 65. Not that it matters, but I thought it was later.
Oh, was it?
Well, well, you know, maybe
it took a few years.
Maybe it was the other dude on death row who was 62.
Andrew or Andy.
Yeah,
Andrew.
I think he was 62, and maybe those guys were like 65. I think Andy's right. So yeah, they were. Once they were found guilty, I mean, they were on death's row for years, and Capote just had to wait until that happened before he technically could finish this book. So, I mean, here he has this relationship, you know, at least with Perry, someone that he obviously felt some kind of odd kinship with or attraction to or whatever. And he's waiting for him to die.
Yeah.
So that he can release this book.
Yeah.
So that must have been pretty weird.
Yeah. No kidding. And that could also contribute to why Truman couldn't write another word, basically.
Well, and maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I could have sworn that later in his career, didn't he get accused of making shit up?
I don't
Andy, check Wikipedia.
Don't start with me. I'll throw you in prison.
I know that there was a book that he was working on at the end of his life, and he had been working on it forever. And that's the one that is basically a bunch of stories about all the super wealthy people that he knew after this book was popular, and he got catapulted into a rich and famous celebrity. All those folks that showed up at that black and white ball, all of those people who became his friends.
I'm thinking, I remember that scene from the Capote movie.
Yeah, but I don't. I it's got to be from one of these movies or miniseries that I saw that I don't remember them say. I almost distinctly remember them saying that that was his last body of actual work that he finished.
Right. So he had this book in progress for years and years and years, and people kept saying, "Hey, what's the status?" And he's like, "Oh, it's coming along." But I don't think that it was ever actually finished. And what ended up happening was, again, they released like a chapter in a magazine, and the shit hit the fan because he had all his friends in there, and he basically aired all their dirty laundry. Like some people he fictionalized, but you could still tell who it was supposed to be. And some people he used their names.
Wow.
And he just didn't have any friends. I mean, like he had one or two friends after that. So he went from being a very popular public partier to persona non grata. And I think he ended up being a drug addict and an alcoholic. But yeah, I don't think that book was ever actually completed. But I do want to say that there was a short story that he did that was supposedly based on a true story, and they found out that he made it all up.
Oh, dang.
Right. I don't know. That's sad, though. Very sad.
All right, I'm going to look this up just so I know that I didn't dream this.
All right. Well, I want to talk some more about the book.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, the conversations, I really like those. Even though I knew that there was a lot of liberty given, or a lot of liberty taken with those conversations and the various scenes of the guys traveling and the people that they came across and things like that, it really made them. It did make them sympathetic characters to me in some way. Even Dick to some degree. I mean, at least if nothing else, he came across as a caring son.
Yes.
He cared about his family, which surprised me because he didn't seem to care about anybody or anything else. This guy's running down dogs and, I mean, just the most despicable guy in every other way. And Perry, the letter from his sister, where she just kind of tears off into him about, how selfish she is and how he thinks that he doesn't take responsibility for his actions and how his father's at fault for this, that, or the other. I felt like I got a pretty nice, well-informed view of who these two guys were.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
The woman who was the jailer's wife, where Perry lived essentially in their apartment in a cell. She right off the bat,
in the kitchen.
Right off the kitchen, yeah. And he had a squirrel come in. I'm like, how did does the squirrel just stay in the bars? I don't get what's happening here. But she was sympathetic to him, it seemed, before she even actually met him. As soon as she looked out the window and saw him, it's like, oh, those poor guys. I got to make sure that they got something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck that. They kick him in the ass. They murdered a family. I mean, in the worst possible way. Like when they're talking about, how Bonnie has already heard so many of her, so much of what's been going on, the gunshots, and they're coming back for him, for her. And
it had to have been terrifying in those. Yeah. I don't know how long it took, but it had to have been the most terrifying hour of those people's lives.
And to know, like, Jesus, we don't have anything. And it was so obvious that they didn't.
Yeah.
They went through the house. There was no safe. They went through all the purses. They had a couple of bucks, what did they say? $40, $40, $50
yeah,
tops.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, right? Because they said $10 a person.
Yep.
It was just, and that shit happens, and it did happen. It was real, and just to feel. I think he did a really good job of making me feel how they, I mean, at least just a tiny fraction, try to understand what that family felt. You know, please don't mess with my wife. Please leave her alone. And the son didn't even make it out of didn't they shoot him right away?
No, he lasted a little while. They shot him on the sofa and down in the basement. The father and the son were in the basement. Yeah.
It's just so sad, and there's nothing that they could have done. There's nothing that they could have done that would have saved them. And it's oh my God, it's just terrible.
Heartbreaking.
Well, it was also interesting kind of seeing the impact of the murders on the townspeople.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the whole town, this small, sleepy, rural town completely changes because of these horrific murders. And people are like, is it Clem down at the drugstore?
Oh, right. Yeah, they started suspecting each other. Yeah.
And it was, they didn't react the way I had expected them to either. Like I had expected, like when they bring the two guys into town to put them in the jail. I expected, he kind of gives you this ramp up, like there's going to be some kind of a mob or something, but everybody's like, oh, let's have some hot dogs and then we're going to go here. And they're just kind of like, okay, well, cool. I guess it's done. And I didn't expect the town's reactions to be what they were. Although I did like the way that the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, the KBI, I liked the way that like Dewey, that they were portrayed. I think that gave it gave me an interesting insight into the police aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't expect. I like that, and their family, at least Dewey's family, how his wife reacted, and things like that. I thought that was pretty interesting. And Nancy's boyfriend and her best friend. So I mean, you could tell that he did loads and loads of research and talked to loads and loads of people. And I think that the way that he wrote the conversations and the scenes just made it so much more accessible to somebody who doesn't necessarily want to read nonfiction. It didn't feel like it was a newspaper article or something like that. It felt like you were watching it on a movie. Yeah,
that's true.
All right, so I found this, of course, in Wikipedia.
wait, I know what it was. Dick and his dad shivved somebody and threw him in the Hudson River.
That's right. Now, it says, so I guess there has been a lot of discussion about this book in the last couple of decades about how much of it was truth and how much was potentially embellishment. So people have studied that. When I Googled Truman Capote story fabrication, a whole bunch of articles come up from as recently as 2013.
Wow.
Here's a Wall Street Journal article that says Capote classic in cold blood, tainted by long lost files. And something in the Denver Post. And yeah, so, but the thing that I was thinking of is this here, it says another work described by Capote as nonfiction was later reported to have been largely fabricated. In a 1992 piece in the Sunday Times, reporters Peter and Lenny Gilman investigated the source of hand-carved coffins, the story in Capote's last work, Music for Chameleons, subtitled A Nonfiction Account of an American Crime. They found no reported series of American murders in the same town, which included all the details Capote described: the sending of miniature coffins, a rattlesnake murder, a decapitation, etc. That's pretty specific. Instead, they found that a few of the details closely mirrored an unsolved case on which investigator Al Dewey had worked.
Oh.
Their conclusion was that Capote had invented the rest of the story, including his meetings with the suspected killer, Quinn. So it's like, well, if he's going to do that,
what else did he do?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I have not. I mean, it'd be interesting to read those articles from 2013 that pertain to this particular book. I don't know what these long lost files are.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Well, I'm glad that we read this book. I tell you that.
Yeah,
I
I am
enjoyed it.
too. I am too.
All right then.
Huh. And I actually did enjoy Infamous. If you get a chance to see that, I saw it on demand. I think it was HBO.
So who plays him in Infamous?
I don't think I've ever seen this guy before, but he was spot on to the character in Murder by
I'm going to
Death.
look it up.
Look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't remember seeing him. I mean, he didn't look familiar. He didn't stand out. But
I mean,
thought
so
he was
that
spot on.
movie is basically about the exact same thing that Capote is about, that period in time in Kansas where he and Harper Lee go and investigate.
Yep.
That's really kind of weird that two movies would come out so close together about the exact same.
Yeah, I don't know when it came out. I don't know.
Oh,
either one of them.
2006.
Which one? Infamous?
Infamous is 2006, and it starred Toby Jones, Daniel Craig, Sandra Bullock.
That's
Hold on a
right.
minute.
Sandra Bullock is Harper Lee.
He's Harper Lee, yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't see it.
She literally is only like in the first 35 seconds. Trust me.
Isabella Rossellini. Oh
well,
my God!
I guess if Gwyneth Paltrow is one of the family that gets murdered, then maybe.
No. She's like a jazz singer or something in a club.
Oh, because I mean, if she's a clutter, then I'm in.
No. She's a singer in a bar when you first meet Capote.
Oh, okay.
Does it look like Parker Posey's in this too?
Damn much. Sigourney Weaver's in it.
Yeah, she's got top billing.
Yeah. It's actually got a really good cast. Even Peter Bogdanovich is in it. I mean, that guy.
Oh, Jeff Daniels plays Dewey.
He played Dewey. Yeah. Daniel Craig played Perry Smith. Yep.
Juliet Stevenson plays Diana Vreeland. Now, Juliet Stevenson, I believe she's the person who narrated. She's one of.
Oh. Yeah. She was awesome.
I win.
I'm serious though. If you can get it and see it, it's worth the time.
All right, I do want to see it. And I want to watch Capote again too. And I'm really interested in this, and I think I'd want to read more about it.
Capote came out in 2005, and Infamous came out the year later, which is kind of interesting. They were back to back.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like they have any clutters.
It's always kind of strange to me when stuff like that happens, when two movies about the exact same thing come out, within a year or so of each other. It's like, the other studio must have known that the other movie was in production. Were they just racing to see who could get into theaters first, or?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
There's the clutters. They're way down.
Because didn't Philip Seymour Hoffman get nominated for an Oscar?
He won an Oscar.
He did.
Okay.
He did. He did a damn fine job, though, honestly. But seeing Capote in Murder by Death, and that might have been where the guy that did Infamous got his inspiration from. But knowing that I've seen that film so many times in my head about that might not have been the real Capote, clearly. But the inflections and the speech patterns and the mannerisms, that guy that did Infamous was like right on it.
You can see interviews with Capote back in the early 60s, and he's exactly the same. They're on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe it. I do. I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a really peculiar fellow.
That is a good way to
I mean, he must have had a heck of a childhood growing up in the South.
I bet he got beat up a lot.
I'm sure he did. He was really small.
Yeah.
He had that super high voice. And See, that makes me think of that character on American Dad. I don't know if you guys watch those.
I tried.
There's a character named Dill, who is based on Truman Capote.
I think I've seen all of the American Dads. I don't.
Okay,
recall
there's
Dill.
an episode.
The one where he and Dill get married, or
They get engaged.
Yeah.
Right, and so he is on the treadmill at the gym, but he's watching all the guys, and he's drinking drinks with.
He's drinking it's a mint julep.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's his drink of choice.
And he has a voice a little bit like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's based on Truman Capote.
No, they did a good job.
That
was pretty good. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad that we did this one for our holiday.
Yeah, me too.
It fit in really well, and that was he really describes pretty graphically the murders, which I wasn't do that, just the time frame, and that it was more of a trying to do more of a mainstream book, I guess,
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised by just how graphic his descriptions were.
Well, and
Yeah.
it was almost like he teased us where you thought, oh, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, so then when he did, I was
It was like,
wow.
oh.
Yeah, and
weren't you guys like grimacing the whole time you're reading or listening to it? You're like,
yeah, I was working. I had to stop working, and I just kind of like walked around the room during that whole thing. Because you're right. It was kind of like a tease because it was well into the book, and we had already heard the basic details of the crime and all of that. And I really didn't think that they were going to do that. And I don't think I was ready for that. I mean, it wasn't anything worse than I'd seen or read anyplace else with any of our other holiday stories, but but I didn't expect it in this one, and it was pretty graphic. I didn't think that was going to happen. But I'm glad that he did, because it really did bring it home so much more. The brutality and he spent so much time trying to humanize these two men who are responsible for these deaths.
It was jolting.
That's exactly right. It was. He spent all of this time making them human and people that have had rough times and have a lot of emotions and all of that, and then to see them be Perry. I mean, Jesus, to see Perry, doing these things, and it was just terrible. It was jolting, and
it was terrible. I mean, because you think about these people, you don't want to give too much attention to the murderers, and we really want to celebrate the life of the Clutters, because they are the victims here. And it's so sad because the young son and the young daughter, I mean, they had their whole lives ahead of them. What could they have done? You know what I mean? So it was just, it's just, Truman did a really good job getting you invested in every one of these characters, every single one. And you just cry for the Clutters, right? What they could have done, and poof, they're gone because of this stupidity. And I don't think this story will ever leave me, ever.
Yeah, and so much more than stupidity, but just stubbornness.
Yeah, that
really.
That too.
They could have just left.
They could have.
They could have just left. They got nothing.
They snuck in. They went in the office. There was no safe there. They could have just went and walked right out, but they did.
That's right.
Yeah.
No. I think that the things that made it drag for me were the discussions of the other murderers and things, like when they brought it, they started talking about Andrews, this other dude, who, that was kind of interesting.
It was actually. What was his first name?
Len or Lou?
Damn, I don't remember.
Lou something Andrews. I don't remember.
Cole and that guy. Holy shit.
So he was kind of an interesting character, but as it first started talking about him, like, what do I care about this guy? And what do I care about these other two dudes who were, hated life, so we're going to kill people? What do I care about any of those? I mean, even though they did tie in, I still didn't really care about them.
It didn't have to be there. It really didn't.
No, it felt kind of like filler. And I, when Colette was talking about it, with the family, how all of that stuff kind of dragged it down for her during that part. That was the part that made me just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna wash dishes now and not pay any attention to what's going on.
I hear you.
Yeah, well, and that may have been content that he was writing while, the execution was pending. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm sure that causes some mixed emotions. And you're like, wow, I really like Perry. Oh, Perry's a horrible killer. Oh, but I really like him, and he's so cute.
Yeah, I kind of got that impression.
Go ahead and die so that I can go ahead and release my book, which I think will be a huge hit. Yeah.
But also, poor Perry. He's
poor
so cute.
Perry. He is so cute.
And he thinks he's so smart, and he's so sensitive, and he had such a bad life, which he did. He had a horrible life. That was terrible.
But there are plenty of people that I've come across in my lifetime that have had as bad, if not worse, stories than Perry, and they have overcome it and become very useful members of society without killing people.
Yeah, but I think that with Perry and with Dick, I think there was the sociopathic.
Absolutely.
There were a lot of other things working, but without having that additional, mental issue going on, they probably would have been okay. I mean, assholes or
but not
emotional suckers, but not murderous.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, did you guys get the sense that Perry was a frustrated homosexual?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know how much of it is Truman asserting himself either.
Right.
Well, and that that was another thing where I just wasn't sure if that was just a little self-fulfilling. Maybe
fantasy
Capote just sort of slipped that in there a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the way that he was hung up on his previous cellmate and
I got this same impression. And he then going on to talk about how he's known several queers, and they were fine, but not just don't bring it on me. But the whole thing with the cellmate, and then there was at least one other dude that I don't know, that I kind of got a weird thing going from that. But no, I totally felt like he was, every time they would talk about, or he would talk about a woman involved with Perry, it just didn't seem right. He seemed like he was a very closeted homosexual. But then again, like you said, who can say if that's true or if that was Capote's, Capote putting a twist on something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we're about out of time.
Yeah, we're just about there. But wow, what a great discussion, you guys.
Yeah, I really like the book. I'm glad that we picked it. I'm very happy that I can now say that I've read it. And like you said, Andy, I don't think that this will go away for me anytime soon.
No, I don't think I'll ever forget it. I don't. Maybe minute details, but overall, no. It's just, it stays with you. It really does. Yeah. Well, we will have another show in January for the new year, and we're going to have our good buddy Susan Maher come over. That's January 7th, and we're going to be talking about our new book. And I don't think it'll be out at that point, so it's definitely going to be spoiler-free. But, we always love having Susan on, just like we love having Colette on.
Yeah, but we're dumping Colette for this one. Sorry, Colette, you're out.
What?
Sorry, three people, that's it.
He might not be exactly out. Come on, man.
Nah,
wait and see. Listeners and watchers, wait and see. You never know what's going to happen. But January for sure, the 7th, we're having another show, and we all wish you a very happy holiday. Be safe, but have a damn good time. That's all I got. So what do you guys got?
All right. Well, in February, we'll have a special Valentine's Day show.
Watch out, because we've never had a special Valentine's Day show, y'all.
That's right. And since it's going to be the three of us,
oh Lord,
never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And we've already got your other favorite writer, Fletcher. She's going to be in March. So
She's got a new book out. It's out right now. So if you want to read it and get prepped, it's called Catalyst, and it's the next book in the Chronicles of Alcee series. Right. And it's pretty good. It reflects back the style, I think, reflects to the first book. It's more action-y. So if you like the action-y stuff.
You've already read it. Quiet. Damn it. All right.
All right. Well, Colette, what do you got to say?
What you got, Colette?
About what?
I don't know, whatever.
Wrapping up the year-end show, your holidays.
Well, everyone have a great whatever holiday you celebrate. Don't get killed by two men who come into your home looking for a safe that you don't have.
Those are words to live by.
Yeah, these are important lessons, important life lessons for all of us.
It's true.
So the takeaway here is lock your goddamn door. There's the takeaway,
yes.
right?
I don't think so. That would have helped. Do you really think? Hold on, we're going to be late for a minute.
They didn't have locks on their door.
It wouldn't have mattered. Those men didn't leave when they didn't know.
You're probably right. But still,
you know who's lucky? You know who's lucky is the ranch hand dude who lived on the outside house with his wife and sick kid. Those people are. I wonder if they ever thought about that. How lucky they are.
I'm sure they did. Just like the guy who lived in the back house during the Manson murders.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've never. Oh, I did read Helter Skelter, but I think I was 12.
Wait, we'll talk about this offline, y'all.
That must have been remarkable in your formative years.
The books that I read as a preteen and early teen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so that gives us some ideas. We're still coming up with ideas for February.
It's kind of a love story.
All right. So say goodnight, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.